to Inspirational Transformational TV show. Amy Whitney here with a special guest today, Tashene Wolfe. If you've ever had the pleasure of traveling to Europe and seeing some of the tapestries that are hanging in the castles or churches there, you will get a similar sort of feeling when you listen to what Tashene has to say. She is this amazing energy of color and laughter and light and this intricately woven woman with so many experiences and layers of knowledge that to capture her, or as she says, don't box me in, don't put me in a box, is near impossible. I hope that you take the moment to listen to what she has to say and to really tune in to this amazing, amazing woman's story. Tashene Wolfe, thank you so much for joining Inspirational Transformational TV show today. I'd like to kick off the interview with just bringing us all back to the year 1971. If you could share with the audience where you were at that point in your life.
Well, 1971, I was given up for dead. I had been to many doctors, internists, and had absolutely no hope of survival. I was told the first man that told me that he didn't think he could do anything for me said that I should go home and get my affairs in order. Those were his exact words. And then I went back to my GP and he said, well, they certainly can give you much hope. And he was quite, I guess, discouraging. And I went home devastated and told my family. My daughter, my oldest daughter, remembers me sitting down on the bed, because I hadn't been out of bed for like 3 months without help. And my oldest daughter was 6, so it was a traumatic thing for her, and my younger daughter was 3. And she remembers me sitting down on the bed to say that I would always be with them and all of this stuff, and told them that I was going to die. And I think that made it really real for me, and I started to go through all of the near-death and dying stages that Elizabeth Kubler-Ross talks about in her book by that name, On Death and Dying or something like that. And I went through anger, rage, because I was this Sunday school pianist. I was the organist in church. I taught Sunday school. I had vacation Bible school in my backyard. I thought I was this good woman that did all of these good things. And I was going to die. So eventually I went through the rage, and I eventually raged at God. And I said, you know, if you're a loving God, why are you doing this? My children are going to be without a mother. My husband's going to be without a wife. And I went through all of the pain of the dying process. And at a certain point, I kind of gave up. After I vented all the rage that I had, because I was figuring that I was doing so much to be a good person, I shouldn't be dying. And I think at that point I gave up or gave over. And I found a peace. I just said, well, and the minister had come and he said, but you're a born-again Christian. You are going to go to heaven, so you don't have to be so upset, kind of thing. And because I vented some of my rage at him, probably. And then after that, I just kind of gave up. And one night I was laying in bed reading a book, and it was called Jonathan Livingston Seagull by Richard Bach, one of my favorite authors. And all the lights in the house were out except the little reading light beside my head. And my husband was asleep in bed beside me. And I noticed this light at the foot of my bed, which was impossible. But I lowered the book and I looked, and it really looked like a million fireflies if, in a clump. It was all just sparkly light, and because the minister had told me that Jesus would come to take me home, I thought that's who it was. So I went, you know, they say that truth is stranger than fiction. The truth is that I thought of poking my husband, saying, okay, this is it, bye. My second thought was, no, if he's going to find my dead body in the bed in the morning, he's going to need all the sleep he can get. So I put his sleep more important than saying goodbye. And, and I floated out of my body, and I expected to go off to heaven. But that didn't happen. What happened was I went to the end of my bed, and I guess I turned around, my spirit turned around, and I saw my body lying in the bed very clearly because the light was on my head, and I had long hair, and it was splayed out over the pillow because I would do this kind of thing. And I started looking at my body differently. I had been raised in a family where they had never complimented me on whether I was attractive or not. And I never thought of myself as beautiful. You know, I used to pluck my eyebrows and put on my makeup just so I could go up in the yard and call my kids in for breakfast or whatever. So I never thought I was attractive, and suddenly I thought, wow, that's a really beautiful woman in that bed, which just blew me away right there. And then I started to notice my hands on the book, and all I could see at first was what was above the covers, and my hands had always been really important to me because I like to knit and sew and crochet, and I even could tat, you know, little lace. And I played the piano. I loved playing the piano. And so my hands had always been really important. And when I focused on the hands, I could see all of the bones and the cartilages and all of the muscles that held my hands together. And it became, hands are so incredibly beautiful. And then somehow I got like X-ray vision, where I looked deep inside my body, and I kept thinking, it looks fine, you know. Now, granted, I weigh about 40 pounds heavier than I did then because I was deathly ill for 3 months. But I started to really think of my body as a beautiful thing. And this may sound strange, but it was as if I turned, because this entity, this sparkly white light kind of being, was beside me. And it was as if I turned my focus away from my body to this entity. And I said, well, you know, I'm ready to go with you if that's what God wants. But if there's anything for me to do on this planet, show me how to get well.